This is a backhand slice analysis, and what I want to do is I want to let the sequence here run through with a little slower pace. And then I want to start with the best one out of the lot, because we'll go from there what some of the very small things are that you want to tweak to get that consistent, really good result. So we'll come up to the one that I think is the best out of the bunch in a second here. And then we'll start breaking it down in details. The reason why I'm picking this one here is you see the outcome, it stays the lowest. It has good bite, and it really looks great how it's coming off your strings without much effort. So let's take the components of how you can hit that, and then we see the variations when your result varies a little bit. So number one is the grip. You have your continental grip. So I do see that the underside of your index finger and knuckle there is on bevel 2. Perfect. Then I like the take back here. There's a slight bend in your elbow. Let's go with another color so we see that better here. Slight bend in your elbow. Your left hand is on the throat of the racket, takes it back and is actively helping here. And then we're seeing that you're loading here off your back foot. You can transfer your body weight into the ball. And what's really important is that you're stepping forward. We'll see that in a few other examples, that on some you're stepping across, and that lets your contact point be a little too far out, and then you have to pull the ball back in. But this one is a good weight transfer into the ball. Racket face still is open here, but as you're coming up to contact point, it closes just like it's supposed to, and you don't have to work on that consciously. That just happens when you're hitting a slice. I like the contact point. It could potentially be a little closer to you about here and further out. And we'll look at that in detail then when we look at it from the side. But to my mind, this is definitely the best one here. And then you're extending through, you're staying sideways, and really using your left arm here as a counterbalance tool. Yes, you do come across your body with your hitting arm, as you have to, because you're out of your range of motion there. And what I do like is that your racket face here stays closed. You have some balls where the racket face here turns open a little bit, and that tells me that you hit the ball a little too late. Now I want to go into the nitty-gritties with your timing. So we'll look at a few other balls, and I'll pick one, I'll be mean, where you actually say it yourself because you hit it late. So this one goes up, we see that. That's the one here. So you hit that late, and actually if we had the audio on, you would hear that you're saying oops, so you know that you hit it late, and it has something to do with your preparation. So what I want you to look at is where your racket is and your turn as the ball bounces. So we're scrolling this forward, so the ball is making contact with the ground right here. This is good preparation. If you were now to start your forward swing, you would catch that ball in a good position, but you're seeing that you're still taking the racket back, still taking the racket back, still taking it back. Now you start your forward swing. And that's just a millisecond too late, because now you're seeing that I think you're making contact almost to the side of your body instead of further out in front. And that is the most variations that you're getting. Now, if I'm putting, to my mind, one of the best slice players in the world next to you, we see what her timing is. So we got Ash Barty next to you or below you. And you see how she's prepping and is basically set with her racket preparation when the ball is bouncing. There's a little movement still into the turn direction, but it's not as long as yours. And you see that she's hitting a ball right here. So ball is bouncing here. And now we want to look at how much the racket is still traveling in that turn before she starts her forward motion. So nothing changes here. The body changes, of course, because she's getting in position. She also has her outside leg behind the ball a little bit more and is almost hitting a semi-open slice. So again, the racket is not moving a whole lot more, a little bit, but now she starts her forward swing and comes at the ball. So she's catching the ball further out in front. So if we look at this, again, ball bounces here. And if I'm scrolling back to yours, and now we're looking at the comparison here. There's a lot more racket head movement in yours, still moving back. Whereas Ash is already about to make contact here. Of course, the ball comes with a different pace off Kvitova's racket there rather than the ball machine, but I think you do see the difference here. So it's turning sooner and then starting your forward motion a little bit sooner to catch the racket clearer in front of your body. And we're talking about quarters of inches here, Mike. So it's not like I'm going like, oh my God, I'm going crazy, because you're reaching for the ball. You're very clearly well balanced. You're not reaching. You're not having tip over on your hips to reach the ball. But there certainly is a little bit of a difference. Now, the next thing that I do want to point out is the left hip. Now, we're always teaching when we're talking about the slice, stay sideways. And you do want to stay sideways. However, you don't want to lock your left hip. So even though Ash here is hitting a semi-open slice, which I want to say it's because she's warming up and she's not really moving as effectively and as aggressively as she would when she's playing a match. But do see how the left hip releases around a little bit, whereas her upper body stays sideways. So there is a distinction. You don't want to block your left hip, because most of the time as coaches we're saying stay sideways. So your hip can open a little bit. So even though her back leg moves back here, the hip releases a little bit. And that just makes for more effective and a smoother stroke. So if we're looking at your slices up here, I do know that you really want to stay sideways, but every now and then it looks like you're consciously holding this part back. So do let this rotate in a little bit. And you do see that then if you have more sideways movement, you also see that you're really trying to hold that side and thereby blocking yourself. So I'm looking at this one here. This is footwork not at its most effective. So you clearly see that in the preparation of this ball, you have to step across. And it's the first ball out of the sequence, so maybe you didn't know where the ball's going exactly from the feet of the ball machine. But this is one of the variations that you want to work on. Try to get your outside leg behind the ball so that you can move in instead of stepping across. And then it comes into play when we say hold your side, that you are actually blocking yourself, right? And you see how far away from your body you are, and that's when they go up. So the result here is it goes off your racket, and this is where we see clearly that you want to rotate. You are rotating with your upper body, but you're really fighting to keep that left side back. So let that left side, in this case, when you're that far around, let that left side swing around as if your body basically acts as a hinge. So let's take a look at your slices from the side. And for everybody who's watching this, this is ideal footage. So thank you, Mike, for providing me with great shots from the back and then also from the side. So we see that here, same thing, the preparation. I really like that. Racket face is above the wrist. The left hand helps actively to pull back. And let's see if we can time this a little bit better. So ideally, as we see the ball bounce here, I would like for the preparation to be almost done. So no more huge motion here with the racket. So if I time that here, let's see how much further it's moving. So this is at point of the ball making contact with the ground. Now you start your forward swing. And that, to my mind, is just a smidgen too late. So ideally, as the ball comes off the bounce, the first third off the bounce, that is when you're starting your forward swing there. And it will probably feel, when you're working on that, as if you're having to stretch a little bit, but that is then also when you move forward with your legs. And that really is where your bite is coming from, right? If you get your entire body weight into the ball with a great contact point. So I would like that contact point to be a little bit further in front, so we don't have quite as many frames, but I'm thinking you're probably then in the next frame, you're going to make contact here, and it's not quite far enough out of in front for it to stay really knifey and bitey. So that's why some of your balls float a little bit. Grip is great, preparation is great. It's the timing of the take back and then the forward swing. And here again, we see that you're really leaving that left side back, which is great. Use your left arm to maintain the side on position longer with your upper body, but allow your left hip. And then every now and then, depending on how much movement you have out to the side, let your left foot swing around as well to make for a really smooth transition of your body weight. And it does help if you're being pulled out wide, then also for great recovery if your left hip swings around, because then you would be side on basically. This here is your left foot, and then you have an easy crossover for recovery. So, but all in all, I think it's very minuscule changes there. This looks like a really good slice, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're working on and that result then.